Claire Donovan stood in the doorway of what used to be her home, watching as the last of her things were packed into boxes. She had spent 20 years building a life inside these walls. Every inch of this house bore her touch, the carefully chosen paint colors, the custom-built bookshelves, the sunroom she had designed to catch the morning light just right. And now, it belonged to him. Ethan Donovan, her husband of 2 decades, had not only cheated on her with a younger woman but had also fought ruthlessly in the divorce to take everything. And he had won. Claire hadn't stood a chance. Ethan was a top corporate lawyer, skilled in bending the system to his advantage. With the help of his high-priced legal team, he had managed to secure the house, the assets, and even most of their savings, leaving Claire with nothing but a small alimony check and whatever personal belongings she could carry out the door. He had made it clear, this was his victory, and he wanted her to know it. She turned as she heard the sound of footsteps behind her. Ethan stood there, leaning casually against the doorframe, a smug smile playing on his lips. "You don't have to look so heartbroken, Claire," he said, voice dripping with condescension. "You'll land on your feet. You always do." Claire clenched her fists at her sides, willing herself to stay calm. She had imagined this moment so many times, what she would say, how she would fight back, how she would make him pay for everything he had done to her. But standing here, in the house she had loved, the house she had poured her soul into, she realized something. She didn't need to fight him. Not now, because she wasn't broken, she wasn't finished. And one day, Ethan Donovan would regret every single choice he had made. Claire picked up her last box, turned to face him, and smiled. "Enjoy the house, Ethan," she said smoothly, "while you still can." Then she walked out the door, never looking back. Claire sat in her tiny, one-bedroom apartment, staring at the bare walls. It wasn't much, just a cramped space with outdated appliances and second-hand furniture. A far cry from the luxurious house she had spent 20 years making into a home. But it was hers. She took a slow breath, willing herself to push past the weight of everything she had lost. A betrayal like Ethan's didn't just break a heart, it shattered a person's sense of self. She had spent 2 decades being his wife, believing in the life they had built together. Now, she had to figure out who she was without him. And for the first time in a long time, she had no idea where to start. Her phone buzzed on the table. A message from her best friend. "Lena, Claire, stop moping. Let's get dinner, my treat." She almost ignored it, but something in her refused to sit in this silence any longer. So she grabbed her coat and headed out, walking into the cold New York air. At dinner, Lena didn't waste time. "You need a plan," she said, cutting into her steak. "You're too smart to let that bastard win." Claire sighed, swirling her wine. "And what, exactly, do you suggest?" "He took everything." Lena tilted her head. "Not everything. You still have your talent." Claire frowned. "What talent?" Lena rolled her eyes. "Claire, you designed that house from top to bottom. You picked every detail, every finish, every piece of furniture. You basically turned it into something out of an architectural magazine." Claire let out a dry laugh. "Yeah, and now Ethan and his 20-something girlfriend get to enjoy it." Lena smirked. "For now." Claire shook her head. "What's that supposed to mean?" Lena leaned in. "You built that house. You created that space. And guess what? You can do it again." Claire stared at her, the words settling into her mind. She had always loved designing, creating, bringing a vision to life. She had made Ethan's house a masterpiece. But that was just one house. What if she could do more? What if she could turn this pain into something real? For the first time since the divorce, a spark of something familiar flickered in Claire's chest. Hope. She set down her glass. "Tell me more." Claire didn't sleep that night. She sat at her tiny dining table, flipping through old sketches and design notes. Papers spread out like a blueprint of her past life. Lena's words echoed in her mind. "You built that house. You can do it again." Claire had never considered turning her passion into a career. For years, she had treated interior design as a hobby, something she did for herself, for her home, for the life she had shared with Ethan. But what if it could be more? She picked up her phone and started searching. How to start an interior design business. freelance home staging for real estate, how to make money flipping homes. The deeper she went, the more it clicked into place. She wasn't just good at this, she had experience, skill, and a unique perspective. She had spent years turning a lifeless space into a home, creating beauty where there was none. And now, she could do it for herself. By morning, Claire had a plan. She didn't have much money, but she had a sharp eye, a decade of hands-on experience, and a determination stronger than ever. First, she needed a project. She scoured real estate listings, searching for something affordable, undervalued, forgotten, and then she found it. A small, neglected brownstone in Brooklyn. The place was a wreck, peeling paint, outdated fixtures, a backyard overgrown with weeds. But Claire didn't see a disaster. She saw potential. She called the realtor immediately. "I want to see the property today," she said. The woman on the other end hesitated. "It needs a lot of work." "That's exactly what I'm looking for." Claire had spent years making someone else's house a masterpiece. Now, it was time to build her own. Claire stepped into the brownstone. The scent of dust and neglect thick in the air. The floors creaked beneath her feet. The faded wallpaper peeled at the edges. And the kitchen looked like it hadn't been updated since the 1980s. Most people would take one look and run in the other direction. But Claire? She saw possibility. She ran her fingers over the worn wooden banister, picturing it restored to its original elegance. The living room, currently dark and cramped, could be transformed into an open, sunlit sanctuary. The outdated kitchen? A chef's dream with sleek countertops and modern finishes. For the first time in months, she felt excited about something. The realtor watched her carefully. "You're sure about this?" Claire smiled. "Absolutely." She signed the papers that same afternoon. This wasn't just a house, it was a statement. A symbol that she wasn't broken. That she didn't need Ethan, his money, or the life he stole from her. She was starting over on her own terms. Claire rolled up her sleeves and got to work. At first, it was just her and the house. She spent weeks stripping old wallpaper, tearing up stained carpets, and learning to use tools she had never touched before. Then, something unexpected happened. She started documenting the process on social media. A simple video of her demo day, ripping out ugly kitchen cabinets, racked up thousands of views overnight. People were fascinated, invested. A woman rebuilding her life from the ground up. They wanted to see her win. And Claire? She wasn't just renovating a house anymore. She was building an empire. 1 year later, Claire stood in front of the brownstone, barely recognizing it. The peeling paint? Gone. The broken windows? Replaced. The outdated, cramped interior? Transformed into a stunning, open-concept dream home. But it wasn't just the house that had changed. Claire had changed. Her social media had exploded. What started as a small documentation of her renovation turned into a thriving brand. Women from all over followed her journey, inspired by how she rebuilt not just a house, but her entire life. Second Chance Interiors was now a full-fledged business. She had clients, sponsorships, and even offers to partner with real estate developers. She didn't just survive after Ethan. She was thriving. And then, she got a call from an unexpected number. "Ethan." Claire let it ring a few times before answering. "Claire." His voice was different, strained. "I heard about what you're doing. You've really made a name for yourself." Claire smirked. "I have." There was an awkward pause. Then he sighed. "I need to sell the house." The words hung in the air. Claire already knew why. Ethan had overextended himself, living above his means, thinking life would continue to hand him everything. But without Claire, he was drowning. He cleared his throat. "I thought maybe, since you know the place so well, you might be interested." Claire leaned back in her chair, savoring the moment. Ethan had fought to keep that house. He had used every legal trick to make sure she walked away with nothing. And now, he was begging her to take it off his hands. She let the silence stretch before delivering the final blow. "I'll buy it," she said, voice calm. "But at my price." Ethan hesitated. "Claire, you wanted it so badly," she continued, "and look where it got you. Now, it's just another property to me." She could hear the defeat in his sigh. "Send me an offer." Claire smiled. I already did. The papers were signed that week. Ethan lost the house he fought so hard to take from her. And Claire? She walked back through its doors, not as a heartbroken ex-wife, but as the woman who had rebuilt her life from nothing. She had won. This story isn't just about revenge, it's about reinvention, resilience, and proving that no one can take away your worth. Claire lost everything, but instead of letting it break her, she used it as fuel to build something greater. In the end, she didn't just get back what was taken, she became unstoppable. What do you think? Did Claire's story inspire you? Comment 2 if you loved it. Or 7 if you think she should have handled things differently. And if you believe success is the best revenge. Hit the like button and subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Your support helps keep these stories alive. Let's chat in the comments.